is ABC 7 News This Morning.
Rod Blagojevich has had a night to sleep on the harsh reality of being convicted on 17 of 20 charges in his corruption retrial.
Blagojevich could barely speak after learning his fate yesterday. ABC 7's Jessica D'Onofrio is live outside the Blagojevich home this morning with more. Jessica?
Good morning, Judy and Jose. Blagojevich did appear speechless yesterday, not that outspoken character that we have come to know. He did say that he has learned from this entire experience to speak a bit less.
Patty and I obviously are very disappointed in the outcome. I frankly am stunned. There's not much left to say.
Unlike so many long-winded rants during both trials, Rod Blagojevich had few words to say after he was found guilty on 17 of 20 counts. 11 of the counts dealt with the alleged sale of the Obama Senate seat. The jury found Blagojevich guilty on all 11. The lone not guilty dealt with an alleged tollway project shakedown. The jury couldn't reach agreement on another count related to the tollway, as well as one dealing with an alleged school shakedown. As he left the Dirksen Federal Building, Blagojevich was booed by some people in the crowd outside. His lawyers are promising an appeal, believing that the judge hindered their efforts to introduce defense tapes and testimony.
This is a bittersweet moment. 5 years ago, another jury sent another message that corruption in Illinois is not tolerable. Governor Blagojevich did not get that message.
Patty and I have to discuss this with our children, our little girls, and start planning for the future. But and of course, I think they'll work out best for Patty.
Legal experts say a judge will likely sentence Blagojevich to a decade in federal prison at least. A sentencing date has not been set yet. That will likely happen within the next few months. Live on the Northwest Side, Jessica D'Onofrio, ABC 7 News. Judy and Jose, back to you.
All right. Thank you very much, Jessica. We appreciate that. Well, the jurors in the Blagojevich case say evidence on the sale of the U.S. Senate seat was the clearest of all that they heard.
Those counts, I think, were the easiest to go through because of the tapes.
We felt that it was very clear that he was trying to make a trade for the Senate seat.
The 11 women and one man tell us they methodically went over every fact in that case, scheme by scheme, leading them to what they call a fair and just verdict. They say despite finding Blagojevich personable, his testimony didn't make much of a difference.
At times I felt it was manipulative, and I would have rather have heard just the facts.
It was very difficult. I mean, there was many times where we would talk and say, or I would say, you know, here's all the evidence, and, you know, I'd come in thinking, okay, he's not guilty, and then all of a sudden I'm like, gosh darn you, Rod, you did it again. I mean, he proved beyond a reasonable doubt that he was guilty.
Jurors say the most dramatic part of the trial came when the prosecutor asked Blagojevich if he was a convicted liar. Jurors say the way it was asked scared them to death.
Wow.
Well, this morning, attorney Thomas Glasgow joins us now to talk about the outcome of this retrial.
Yeah, good morning.
Good to have you with us.
Good morning to both of you.
Talk to us first about your reactions, overall reaction to this verdict.
It was expected. Based on the way that this trial was presented to the jury, the fact that it was streamlined, the fact that this was a very, very simplistic way to follow what the government was trying to prove, this really was not in doubt as to the fact that most of these were guilty.
Does it surprise you that we just heard some of the jurors say that his testimony actually didn't make much of a difference for them?
No, not really, because when you have taped confessions and you have consensual overhears or you have the wiretaps, those are incredibly powerful evidence. When you're sitting in a courtroom and you hear the defendant's own voice and you hear him talking about certain things, there is really no way to counteract that. And the prosecutor's argument in this was, look, this is the Blagojevich that you see every day. This is the one you see on camera. Here's the personable, affable politician. But when he gets alone and he's by himself and he talks to what he really thinks about with his advisors, that's when the real Blagojevich comes out, and that's what you got to hear, ladies and gentlemen.
So listen to this jury, and based on your conversations with the first jury, how much of a difference are you seeing in their reaction and this jury's reaction?
What I see basically in this jury that I didn't see in the other jury was that they understood the simplicity of the case. I think the RICO charges were incredibly confusing to the first jury. I think that kind of muddied the waters as to the Senate seat. As you saw when the guilty verdicts began to come out, you saw that there was the guilty verdicts towards the Senate seat, the guilty verdicts towards everything but the tollway, which was the weakest part of, I think, the prosecution's case. It's very difficult for a layman to understand exactly what happened there. But they let off with the children's hospital issue, which was an egregious count of, hey, I'm keeping money from children that are sick in order to get a campaign contribution so that you guys can, and I'm not going to sign this legislation that's sitting on my desk until you give me money to do so. The jurors just found that something that was an anathema to them.
Well, yeah, the prosecutors streamlined the case this time and apparently worked. So tell us about what happens now with the procedures. There is a bond hearing still, right? He has to put up more money for bond?
That's correct. He's going to have to put up the remaining equity in his house, and I believe the condominium that he has. That's going to secure his bond so that he does not have to go into custody pending the post-trial motions. They're going to have the post-trial motions, the motions for new trial. They're going to then proceed to do a pre-sentence investigation, which takes anywhere between 90 and 120 days. After that, there'll be the sentencing hearing, and then at the sentencing hearing, the judge will give him whatever sentence he feels is appropriate. And then he will then have to report, much like Ryan did, he'll have to report to a federal facility so that he is incarcerated then.
So this is only one small chapter of it that's over. We'll continue with this case. Thank you so much. Always great to see you.
Thank
Thomas,
you,
thank you for joining us this morning. Good to see you.
I want to remind you also that our coverage of the Blagojevich guilty verdict continues in our next half hour. We will talk to Sam Adams Jr. as well as the jury foreman in that first Blagojevich trial. You can also follow developments on our website, which of course is abc7chicago.com.
Right now it is 5:37, and we do have